Neat Nation, happy Thursday. Welcome to our stream, the stream with Abandoned Bourbon. Myself, Drew P. Stoked to be with you guys, tasting some whiskey provided to us by Fred. I don't know. By Fred F. I could look at that and try and say it 1,000 times, and I don't think I'd get it right. It doesn't look that complicated. I can't say it.
Fabriello.
Fabriello. There you go. Thank you, Brian. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was raised in Texas. I was homeschooled. Fabriello. That sounds correct. Fred, was that correct? And that's why we have Brian here. Sometimes we just need some help. Stoked to be with you guys for a little bit. Tonight's stream is going to be shorter. We're going to zip through our standard opening bits here and then get into tasting these Elijah Craig single barrels because all my kids have been sick and it has been rough. The evenings, I'm sleep deprived, which may go into the Fabriello thing, may contribute to that. I'm going to blame it on that, actually. I'm very sleep deprived, but my palate is still good. Somehow my wife and I have not slipped into the high fevers and the massive congestion. We've had like scratchy throats and like light congestion, but I felt like my palate was actually pretty good over the last week. So, I mean, I waxed Brian in our taste off last week. This one's not a competition. This one's an exploration. We had tasted the Elijah Craig single barrels, barrel proof single barrels, talked about them like 6 weeks ago, I think, like right before I left on a live, but we each only had one at that point, and so we were sort of hypothesizing the impacts of the single barrels on the Elijah Craig brand. Now, thanks to our boy Fred, we have 3. I picked up another one, so I actually have 5 here to taste. How many do you have, Brian?
4.
Okay, sweet. We'll get to that in just a minute. So again, big thanks to Fred. This episode is sponsored by him through his provision of whiskey. If you want to sponsor an episode through provision of whiskey, you can do that. Just reach out to us on Instagram, send us a DM at Drew P Whiskey at Abandoned Bourbon, and we'll thank you. We'll love you, and we'll welcome you into Neat Nation. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and then if you want access to bottles, hopefully very soon a bottle of Middle West Spirits. But tonight we'll drop the link in and make the link public for our 8-year-old MGP pick from Dance and Goat, which is pretty cool. We're just going to give that to you for free. But if you want access to barrel picks in the future, make sure you jump into Patreon, patreon.com/entryproofpodcast. Be sick. All right, Brian, what are you drinking? What's your warm-up pour?
I am I'm tasting between the Remus 5 and the Russell's 13 tonight.
How do you feel about
that? It's interesting. As you know, I don't know how much I said it publicly on here, but because of in the chats, a lot of people have been talking about Remus 5 for a while, and it's not that I was talking smack about it. I don't really follow Remus 5. I got a sample of it.
Another one? A second one?
Well, no. So I'm just telling the backstory. So then I got a sample of it from our buddy Tom. Cheers, Tom. Thank you so much. And I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine the same way that I thought FAEO2 was fine. Better than FAEO2 by far, but in a similar way.
I like them both for the record.
There was something about it that was... and everyone keeps talking about it still. And so I said, well, maybe I need to try it again. I never bought a bottle because it was one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know. I guess I want to try it before. Tried it. Was like, eh. So I wanted to try it again. I got another sample from a guy because he's like, dude, you got to try it again. And then in retrospect, I was like, I feel like this would be good to have in a flight against, like, it would be nice to put that against Calumet 15. It'd be nice to put that against the Russell's 13. It'd be nice to put that against the FAEO2. It'd be nice to put that against the 20-year roses. I say that for a particular reason. There are flavors that are a pocket of flavors that are in all these pours. A pocket of flavor that I like. But the way they present themselves is not uniform. And so I'm trying the two of them. And it's interesting. The Remus is the Remus has a fantastic nose. They both have really great noses. The Russell's is a little bit more deeper, a little bit more complex. The Remus on the palate,
It's definitely lighter.
It's lighter, it's sweet, but tonight it does have this. It has the note that I remember from previously a little bit, which is like it's like it's not quite dried fruit. It's fruity, but it's like grapes that are old. They're slightly musty, and they're starting to get a little sour. And it's that little sour tinge that it's not quite tannic, but it's in the same sort of pocket of like a little too past gone. There's a mixture in here that's a little too far gone. Now,
yeah, I think I see what you're talking about. Like, because I don't like when things go like when things get into cough syrup, like cough medicine. When things go really sour, I'm out on that. And I've had some MGP stuff that tasted like that. I don't think it goes that far because I really like it.
It's definitely not intense.
I think that's I would call this sour note you're calling out. I think I would have called that cough medicine or something. Like
yeah,
that. Which I know exactly what that smells like.
What's interesting
last week.
What's interesting is that even though it has a little bit of sour note, the fruitiness is still brighter than my present open bottle of Russell's 13. Russell's 13 is like a lot darker than I remembered.
That is correct. Yeah. Especially when you compare to other well-aged stuff. It's just deep. It is deep. Real quick, just want to say thank you to Jason, who said stop being sleepy. That's going to be a tough one tonight. Not only like it's personally and professionally, man. Like with the advent of winter sickness, it's been a beating. Terrence in the house. What's up, Terrence? Good to see you. Damon, killer last name here. Venustendorp. Sup? Glad to have you. More spam with Daisy Constance, it looks like. Man, somehow, just starting last week, our threads are just getting spammed up. We got Porkins in the house. Jay Coots, what's up, guys? Porkins is saying, I'm playing the is it a sinus infection or is it COVID game this week? COVID test all negative, so probably we'll have to watch later. Me too, man. Same deal, except it's been the kids. I felt it a little bit, but it hasn't hit me like it hit them. High fevers. I took my son in to the hospital today because the girls have gotten better, which is great. He was not better. He's like 103.5, coughing constantly. I'm like, this kid, he's got pneumonia. He does not have pneumonia. Seems like he'll be fine, but good to at least rule that out. Johnny Drama, what's up? Good to see you in the chat. All right. So what am I tasting? I'm warming up with some Elijah Craig batch A121. Really, really nice. I also have C120 or C920 open, and that's one of my all-time faves. So I'll hit that periodically. But this A121 was actually just a solid barrel-proof 12-year-old bourbon. And if you just take it in isolation, it's quite good. I'm sure blinded up against other batches, it may not be as good, but it's quite good on its own.
I'm gonna take a quick pause to say again. What did I just knock off? I just knocked something off. Oh, I think I'm still on. Here we go. We don't have any sponsors to this.
Can't hear you. We lost you. Last thing we heard was we don't have any sponsors. Still can't hear you. This is fun, though. Kyle's getting tested. So we got Porkins and we got Kyle with doing the COVID thing. I took a test last night just because the whole family was sick. I'm like, I wonder. But I've also been hearing that these at-home tests got tons of false negatives, which ain't fun. I'm also hearing Omicron, well, it's hella contagious. Less impactful, less risky. So that's slightly encouraging. That said, I hate being sick regardless. So, all right, are you back?
We back. You got me?
Okay. So we don't have sponsors.
So we don't have sponsors. But if you want to see some, tag this brand afterwards, and maybe they will become a sponsor of ours. I am sipping tonight out of. I told you in the chat. I told you in the chat that my buddy gave me this Blue Run glass. I opened it up tonight and realized it's one of these aged Nor glasses. So first thing I had out of this was this Russell's 13. I actually really enjoy this glass. It was weird at first coming to this lip, but once actually tasting quite a comfortable glass to
Dude, I love that
drink
glass.
out of. It's I
I
don't know
actually,
what size glasses you all typically prefer, but this is a pretty nice glass to sip out of. I won't lie. Good to nose, good to taste out of, feels good, weighty base.
I actually met one of the guys because he's here. He's local in Milwaukee. And so he gave me the glass that I have. And I said, we should do something. And he said, we will. And I'm trying not to, bark up their tree because their stuff is so dank. It kind of sells itself. But yeah, I would love to do something with this.
What about a little entry proof logo right there, bud? Right there.
Yeah. Or anywhere for that matter. Anywhere on that thing. All right. Let's hear what you guys are sipping on. Brian, did you pick up any bottles this week? I'm gonna actually prep my samples while we talk about this. So FYI.
No, since we talked last, I don't think I've. Wait, did I pick anything up? Let me look at the spreadsheet. Yes, I did. So I don't remember when we even talked last, but
last Thursday, or we talked on Monday, but we talked with Nation last
so
Thursday.
I did. The Heaven Hill had this Parker's breakfast event yesterday, and when they first put up tickets for it, I did not get one. And I was talking to a friend this weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I just checked this weekend, and they had some available." He's like, "I think they're just randomly opening it up as maybe people are dropping their tickets." He's like, "If I were you, I would just keep refreshing or something." So it was Monday or Tuesday. I sat down at work and I looked, ticket was up, got one, and it was it's like a little breakfast thing. You get a chance to try the Parker's Heavy Char again, and you get a bottle of it in this leather carrying case.
Oh my gosh!
Thing. So
that's two for you, right? That's two of the Parker's wheat. Sick.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't remember my interaction with this, when I went to the Holiday on the Hill Christmas thing they had, when we tried this pour, I didn't like it. And I'm like, well, that's disappointing. I had high hopes for this. And the Dad's Drinking Bourbon guy said it was amazing. And Fred Minnick said it was really good. So, shortly after that Christmas event, I went to my local bar to try it again because I'm like, it seems weird. It doesn't taste old. It's 11 years old. It doesn't taste charred. It's a heavy char. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. So I tried it at the bar, and I'm like, this is completely different. It's got a bigger body. You can tell there's oak there. And I'm like, it's actually pretty good. And so I'm like, well, that's redeeming. I was a little nervous about that. So I haven't opened it up for me to try it again since that. So it's kind of like I've got a tally on both sides. So yesterday was kind of like, which way is it going to go? Had it again yesterday. It aligned with how I had it at the bar. Completely different experience to when I had it at Heaven Hill several weeks back for Christmas. And it is a good pour.
Nice. Sick. I have not gotten anything. I did meet up with the boys to get the swap. So I got that OESO pick that Matt picked up for me while I was gone. And then, of course, this other Elijah Craig barrel proof pick, which he said, and we'll see, but he was not jamming on this one. Of course, I've already shared my thoughts on the first one I got from Maddie's Bar and Grill, a 10-year-old, which we'll talk about again. I think I'm going to taste that one first tonight. This is what I recommend we do. We taste the ones that we don't have in common, Brian, to get calibrated,
Yep.
And then we'll get into the ones we do have in common, and we'll taste those together at the same time.
Sure.
Cool.
Yep.
So I'm waiting. Real quick, we got a bottle pop, so let's get the ASMR going. So this is 11 year, 114.9 proof, super low proof for Elijah Craig barrel proof. Here we go, bottle pop. That sucked. That was one of the worst bottle pops.
Yes, pretty terrible.
I've ever had. That was just impotent.
That's pretty bad.
That was. That sounded inappropriate, like queefy.
It was like a Michael Scott look at me kind of moment, and then everything afterwards was just cringeworthy.
Yeah, right. Oof, that was not good.
We were just watching the episode this evening where he proposed to what's her face? To Carol. Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of thing that just happened here.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna throw out the specs. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep us moving. Go ahead.
I know you are. No, I have a trade that I'm waiting on. So I did do one trade this week. There is There's an older run of OBSFs from Four Roses that I did not get on, and they're from like 2019, but a lot of the Roses guys are really big fans of them. It's a JE32 run. They're like 9 to 10 years, and it's supposed to be like just one of those really good runs. The tier 6s, the tier 5s, even the tier 4s. So I was out trying to find a pick from this. If you've seen Bourbon Pursuit's Spicy Owl, it was in this run. There was one from Mammoth that was in this run. There's one with this sticker on the side. It says Hellbender. It's like a lizard. That was in this run. Anyway, so I was looking for some, and I ended up getting a trade. I'm trading away a Michter's barrel strength bourbon for one of the bottles in that run. So I was supposed to get it today. They could have popped it open, but it got delayed because of the weather. I don't want to miss this question, though. Here it is.
Yeah, this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
When you find a good store pick, do you A, get a second bottle, look for more picks from the store, look for more picks from that brand, some combination? Yeah, I mean, normally A and B. I know Brian, like, so I'm not Four Roses chaser. I'll buy literally any Four Roses barrel strength single barrel that is released in Wisconsin because there's just not that many of them, and they're all generally pretty good. But if I find a barrel pick that I really, really like, I'll generally go back for a second one, and I'll kind of limit it at 2. And then if I'm looking, like if I want to try barrel picks, which I often do, I buy a decent amount of barrel picks. Those stores whose picks I generally like, I tend to go back to. And I've talked about a couple stores on the channel that generally do a good job here in this area. But Brian can probably speak more because I didn't see any other comments. So Brian, what's your take on this?
Yeah,
and then we'll get into tasting.
Yeah, when it comes to store picks, for me personally, I would have to look through down in the basement, but I don't have a lot of store picks that I have multiples of. So just off the bat to kind of get to that point A, there are a couple that I have. So that 13-year Elijah Craig, I was able to get a second one of those. There have been a couple others that I've finished off and wanted to find another one. The thing that I like about good store picks too, and if you have any local groups to your area, is that it's often a little easier to attempt to find another one if you want to procure another one. So that's usually my mentality. I would almost always grab one, not necessarily get multiples. There are very few that I've, I'm sure there's some that I wish I had another one of, but it's usually just one. I come into so much whiskey that, having more than that it's just hoarding, really, because it will take me a long time to go through it unless I am purposefully one of those people who open it and finish it. Looking for more picks from the store. It depends on the store, because there are a lot of, here in Louisville, there are a couple of stores that I feel like I can try and find a profile to, but then there's other stores I don't think they have a profile. I think they just get picks in. So, you kind of have to know who's doing the picking. There are some stores that I go to here, and the picking teams always change, and even the leads for the store aren't the same. And so in those cases, I can't assume that somebody is heading it up saying, this is what we look for. Like at Cork and Bottle in Northern Kentucky, I feel like you would know that Ed Blay or like any of these people previously would have a direction that they see, a vision. They're always on the picks. Total Wine here or Liquor Barn here, maybe it isn't like that. They hammer out some of it. Kroger here, they just get them thrown. They just pick whatever. But maybe Justin's House of Bourbon here is a little different. Maybe Westport Whiskey and Wine, a little different. I started to notice that it seemed like Westport Whiskey and Wine picks were more decadent, and I liked that. And so I'm like, oh, I'll keep a radar in Westport. But it really comes down to the store. So sometimes I'll look for more from the store. But also the thing you have to know about picks and allocations is like people are going to keep grabbing whatever they can get. And as you can see, like the picks that we're able to get, you got to be in a system. And sometimes you got to do picks. You might know these from some of the groups you're in. You kind of have to do some okay picks in order to get access to other picks. So sometimes it's about playing the game, and that does not necessarily mean that the picks are going to be good. But I highly suggest supporting a store and finding affordable products that you might have, especially going into C, picks that fall into a brand you like. If you find out that you like Elijah Craig, then anytime a different store in your area has one, pick it up. See how it's different. something like what we get from Fred. We're able to try 3 different Elijah Craigs now. And we have mentioned we like Elijah Craig barrel proof. So now we're able to try multiple expressions. This is fun, and we don't have to get away from any other brand. So I think C is the kicker for me. I would always look for more picks from the same brand, different places. And then again, in combination with some of the things I previously said.
Nice. You're really on it tonight, Brian. I can't keep up with you. I mean, it was great. That was a great explanation. I just meant I do not have the.
Oh, I answered Brian Mackey's question without even really getting there.
Sick. All right. I do want to thank Jason for all the. I don't know. Can I get a rock on Holbrook? I don't know what that means, but I sincerely
give him a pound, man.
You.
Take him to
Is that
Pound
what he
Town.
means?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Take him to Pound Town means something different.
Whatever.
But Jason, thank you, man, for the super chats tonight. Much appreciated. Damon says, Drew, do you think that Buffalo Trace products will be more readily available someday besides BTAC? Probably. What goes up must come down. I've talked about that a little bit on some of my videos regarding the market bubble. That said, I don't think anything's coming down anytime soon. Maybe end of this decade it might slow up, but I don't think it will before then. All right, well, let's get some tasting notes going. I'm starting with 10-year-old barrel from Maddie's Bar and Grill here, just west of Milwaukee by about 30 minutes. I forget the exact municipality it is in, but I met up with Eric cold November morning to pick up these suckers.
I want to try and see if I could zoom in on these real quick too. I might not be able to.
These are the ones from Fred, which we'll get to after we hit the ones that we procured ourselves.
The main thing I want to point out is that this is the oldest one here. This is the highest proof one. It's like 9 years old, but it's definitely the darkest too. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like that. Yeah, your light's impeccable for that. So my first pick here. So I'll do one, then you do yours, then I'll do my second, and then we'll break into the 3. So my first one, and I've chatted about this some with the local guys who've also been able to taste it. It's remarkably similar to Booker's. I posted about it on social medias the other night. So if I've got a nutty, if I want some.
You want some nutty meat?
Anyway, yeah, right. Some oily nuts. Then it kind of does the job. But I don't often go for the Booker's profile. But this to me is kind of what Booker's should be. Booker's is just like hot and nutty and needs like more sweetness and roundness. This has that. The nuts are more rounded. And yeah, it's sweet roasted peanuts, and that's kind of it. I mean, well aged for sure, but it doesn't really match the Elijah Craig barrel proof. Like, it tastes nothing like A121. It is more similar to some nuttier Henry McKenna picks I've had. It's more similar to Old Ezra 7, just an older version of Old Ezra 7. So if you like Booker's, if you like Old Ezra 7 cast strength, this one would be right up your alley. It's not what I was hoping for. I wanted more of the buttercreamy side of Elijah Craig barrel proof when I got a pick. This is not that. That said, I'm going to it on a decent tick because I don't hate it. And if I want something that's just a little rougher, it'll take the plaque off your teeth a little bit. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. I'm enjoying it now. It's not world class, certainly, but it's a very bourbon-y bourbon. All right, Brian. Man, Jason's just dropping it. This guy must have gotten a bonus this week.
Yeah, thanks, dude, Jason. Tell me what you want to do. So Drew and I had talked about sometime giving out a list of bottles we were going to go get, like maybe some lower end ones. Is this what we talked about? And trying to give enough time.
Well, we talked about bottles and then buying actually like apples and oranges and like
that's right,
honey and brown sugar and like.
So yeah.
So
this is what we're talking about. So Drew and I. So this is something we do in coffee in order to talk about the acidity level of fruits or sweetness or the differences between what a malic apple like acidity versus a strawberry, pineapple, or something like that. Anyway, different nuts, different types of sugars. We talked about gathering a list of supplies of flavors, right? Maybe things that are common in whiskey, giving an ingredients list for Nation to be able to find, get, or find from your house, and we do a taste we go through the tasting wheel, if you will, or like a pocket of flavors, and talk about some of these differences or how to talk about flavor with you all. If you all think that would be awesome, hit the thumbs up button and let us know, or let us know in
we
the
do
comments.
plan to get that on the sketch. If you guys really want that, let us know you really want it, and we'll prioritize that. It may be, Brian, that might be a good one to do when we're together.
Yeah.
Which we will be together for a Thursday night. We may or may not stream because we'll be doing other things, but end of this month, I plan to go down to Kentucky. All right. You got your single barrel. You want to hit us with your notes? Because when we popped this on live stream 6 weeks ago, by the sound of thing, it tastes nothing like the one I just tasted.
Yeah. And I will say, I'm gonna hit real quick on something that Fred mentioned before hitting about the store picks thing before I talk about this. So Fred had mentioned his local store has about 20 to 25 picks currently available. Haven't even started with allocated stuff. That's a benefit of stores who do picks. A lot of times they'll let you try them too. And it's not always a chance that you get to try picks before you buy them. And that's a benefit of having a local store. Some of them, they'll be like, it's only $1. And if you end up buying a bottle, they take that charge off, something like that. And there was a time where, we have stores that had picks just, Liquor Barn here used to have like 8 different Four Roses picks on the shelf. It's not findable anymore. But if you trust a store, you buy your picks from them. 1, you're getting stuff and you're not having to chase unicorns. 2, hopefully you're building rapport with a store that might help you acquire unicorns in the future. Anyway, the one that I am talking about is from Woodland Wine and Spirits, or Woodland Wine Merchant in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a store, going back to Ryan, what you were asking. I don't live in Nashville. I've never even been to Woodland Wine, but I've had several of their picks, and I like what they do. They had a Russell's Reserve. It's one of my favorite Russell's Reserves that I've had. And this one is a 9-year, 132.8 proof, and very different from Drew's and very different from Elijah Craig. To me, this is very fruity, lots of fruit. The nose has some chocolate, and
this is a really
really nice balanced spice.
I now realize, thanks to Jason's generosity, what he was getting at, where we actually bring on a fan and do a taste off with a fan. That would be fun. That's a good idea. Like the idea. We'll slide into our DMs, Jason, and we can talk. It's a really good idea. There's probably a couple other folks who've been along the journey. But I think that there may be something we can do where if people are interested in that, we can line those things up. So,
and I'm definitely a fan of anyone going against Drew. I don't particularly care about competition, so like, I'm totally fine drinking a Snake Eyes Imperial Stout in between these flights.
Just commentary, just providing the commentary.
And Drew's a little. He's got to make sure the palate's all up to date. He's got to make sure he wins. So this one is very similar to the Russells in profile. It is big red fruits, perfect spice, and chocolate. This is a very, very tasty one. And if anything, regard to nuttiness, instead of like a roasted nut kind of Bookersy type thing, it's got this sweet, pleasing like almond paste that lingers on the palate. It's very tasty.
Nice. So I just bottle popped this 11-year from Olson's Piggly Wiggly, which is north of here. And so my friend Matt, good guy, love Matt, need to hang out with him. We've tried to get together like 4 times, and I've always had to bail out, so he probably thinks I don't like him. I love Matt. It just has not worked out, unfortunately, due to sick kids. I was in Texas, some other stuff. He wasn't jiving on this. But I got to say, what did I say? 114.9 proof, which is by far the lowest Elijah Craig barrel proof I've ever had. But it's not hot at all. It's really sweet in the maple syrup kind of category, really viscous. It doesn't punch at all. So if you want a bourbon to punch you, you might like this one. This one has some kind of dusty oak. It's similar to those mellowed out whiskeys that sat there on the shelf for a long, long time. And my light in here is garbage, so I can't really compare darkness here, but I can tell you that this is a mellow, delicious, sweet. Let me pull out some other notes. So like that syrupy viscosity is calling to me. It's not nearly as nutty as the other one I have. Yeah, I mean, I get frosting. I get vanilla frosting, and I love that note so much. It's pretty straightforward, not complex, not really fruity. We're talking brown sugar, maple syrup, vanilla frosting. Not terribly spicy, but just a crushable, delicious whiskey. So I'm a big fan of this one from Olson's. Granted, that's a neck pour. We'll see how it evolves, but I'm in so far. So 11 is more reminiscent. The Olson's, the second one, the one I'm drinking right now, is more reminiscent of what I hoped these picks would be. And I'm encouraged as we get to compare these other three.
Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna leave some of that one out. Come back. I need more water. Dang it. All right. So which one do you want to hit first together here?
Does not matter.
Well, I've got them lined up. Let's do the 9 year.
Okay.
All right. Well, do you want to go proof wise? We can go proof wise.
I was gonna say proof. I don't care though.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. Let's go 11 year. So it'll be 11 year, then 8 year, then 9 year.
Greens Farms pick 11 year 127. So this is what we're trying first.
Yep. Fred, where is Greens Farms? Where that at? Bobby, you asked your Wisconsin guy when these hitting shelves. These already hit shelves, and unfortunately, they're probably gone already. So a couple Facebook groups, Wisconsin Fine Whiskey Fanatics being one, the Speakeasy being another, but really make friends, try and develop as many relationships as you can in the community, because sometimes it just drops. I get the one at Maddie's Bar and Grill. I only knew about that because my boy Eric Sawyer was like, hey, did you see this? And I was like, no, I didn't see that, because it wasn't even on any of the Facebook groups. So just try and get to know as many of the local stores as you can. Follow them on Instagram. That's a good way to know about drops, is follow bars and stores on Instagram. So
yeah, Bobby, that's the same thing that I thought too. When a couple weeks back we had something where we basically discussed, is the single barrel is offering the single barrel program in barrel proof, does it take away from Elijah Craig barrel proof as a batched product that releases a couple times a year? And Drew and I had different directions that we came from on this, and that's the kind of thought that I had. Is I'm like, man, it's basically just the single barrel program at cask strength, no different than any other brands doing, but we just kind of assumed barrel proof came with that age statement still, and it would have been nice to continue to keep that. But anyway,
yeah. But so let's think about it though, in light of the fact that Elijah Craig small batch is at this point, it's now long been an 8 to 12 year product. I expect the barrel picks, which the small batch, the 94 proof barrel picks, fit in that 8 to 12 year range. It makes sense that the barrel strength ones now would as well. And I actually think it helps differentiate these from the 12 year barrel proof releases, because I'm going to still want those 12 year barrel proof releases, because I actually know based on taste so far that I'm getting a little bit more oak out of that profile than I'm getting out of these. All right, so let's taste this 11 year. I hit it once already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually the thinnest one out of the three I've tasted. I get a little salt and pepper, like there's a savoriness to it, and then a spicy finish. It reminds me a little bit of light whiskey from MGP, like some of those well-aged light whiskeys.
I can see that. Lots of oak,
butterscotch, and but it's not as rich as as the last one I tasted. It's not as nutty as the first one, so it's not super nutty. It's just got this weird savory, then spicy, sweet but not rich, and pretty hot. And it's not even that. I mean, it's 127.8 proof, but it's drinking pretty hot. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? Give us your rundown.
To me, it's got a lot of vanilla, custard, and oak notes. I think it's pretty smooth. It does have a lingering heat. To me, this actually, I could see compared to other barrel proofs why you would say it's light. But to me, this is a stronger, richer version of one of my favorite profiles to come into in the single barrels at 94 proof. because it's just so silky and easy drinking. It's not out of balance with nuttiness. It's not too hot. I mean, it is hotter than my previous one by far, but it is real smooth, and it's got a nice oaken sweetness.
Hot but smooth. Not.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not bad.
It doesn't come bad at all. It doesn't come off hot, like aggressively hot. It just has like a building heat to it, like a chili pepper that you're like, whew, I can feel the heat on the palate, and I kind of like
the front is. The front is sweetness for sure, and the back is heat and pepper to me, but not bad at all. I'd have to taste it. Like
I'm surprised you're not getting those suggestions of buttercream. Definitely,
no. I'm coming off buttercream. In the last one I had has more of it, so that's probably part of it. Is this whatever 11-year-old lower proof pick is more creamy than this one. Which maybe that's it.
I like this glass, dude. I wish they made this glass slightly smaller. They set right here at its widest point. It's 1.5 ounces. I never pour 1.5 ounces. If they made this just a touch smaller, this would be my ideal glass. I feel like.
Yeah, it seems like Nathan is stiffing us on the likes according to Tom here, but not solid stuff. But let's try and rank these three for Fred based on what our favorite is. A solid start. So I'm gonna bank this whiskey that I was tasting earlier, which is great. And I'm glad Matt got me one. Based on his initial tasting, I was like, crap. And I'll do some blinds with it later. But I have a higher regard for it. I like that one a lot. And then this first one, this 11-year, 127.8 proof from Greens Farms, solid start. Just banging glasses over here. I need a dishwasher in my basement.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next one, we got 8 years, which is young. Young, I mean, relatively speaking. This is the youngest pick I've seen so far.
Jay, also sorry to hear about your wife, man. Sorry you got the single dadded. I know that's kind of rough to do, so thanks for being here.
What happened?
His wife's got COVID, so she's banked up, and he's having to be on single dad duty.
Oh, you said single dad. I'm like, oh dang. Oh, but COVID, not great. I hope she gets better, man. Godspeed.
Dude, Jason wants to meet up tonight. Just get him on the chat, dude. He's ready to go. He's ready to go with you.
Well, we have 23 minutes before my target to get off was. So, I mean, he's putting out, to use a vulgar term, with again generosity. We're gonna call it that because it's financial. So I'm very appreciative of that. And you should slide into the DMs, Jason, because I like that idea. All right. This one's Wines and More. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Wines and More. 8-year, 128.9 proof.
Porkins, you might remember, is H&R the brand that talked about doing those, like, hold on, 4 glasses in a rack, the glaze is small version you fill. Is that flight set the one that came with rings that you can put on it that attach them to the base, and you can use the rings to blind flight yourself? Because I saw a Kickstarter or something for a company that had this, and I remember thinking, this is awesome. I didn't buy it then, and I'm like, man, I can't wait till it actually becomes a product.
You can buy it now. It's available. They released it like a month ago.
I remember seeing they have these these like bamboo looking lids for Glens on Amazon. I never bought them. I want more ability to do blinds like that, so I need to get those tags. Cool. Do you like them? Do you like those?
Do I like them or just...
Did you get them too, Drew?
I did not. No, I want to get one of those sample sets.
Yeah, I want to get that. That size, I use Weeglins a lot because if I'm being transparent with you guys, when I taste whiskey, I'm pouring like 8 grams. I'm pouring like a quarter of an ounce because unless I am purposefully wanting to make sure that I sit with it for a half hour to see how it changes, I can pull a lot out of it in less than that. But not all the time. But usually, at most, I'm pouring like half an ounce during a tasting for analysis.
Yeah, I tend to I don't tend to just taste to taste. I mean, I will sit down and I'm going to taste this, but that also has to be what I just drink that night.
little dry. It
Are we drinking
smells
the
like it's gonna
same
be hotter.
thing? Well, you taste it because I was pleased.
I
I
you're
was
right. I
very
haven't
pleased.
tasted it. That's
It
why I
is
said
harsher on the
smell.
nose. It's a little
It smells like
bit
something like cinnamon frosting.
bigger on the nose. Yeah. It's bigger on the nose for sure. But man, the palate delivers the flavors.
A little young for me.
Come on.
This is like a thinner, less. It's going in the same direction as my woodland one, but a lot more youthful, a lot less going on, a lot more grassy.
Dude, I don't know if we're tasting the same thing. This one to me is rich, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Say
I get a lot of maple.
You're saying we're not tasting the same thing based on how I'm saying this compares to another bottle you haven't tried. I'm saying this is in a flavor pocket like this other bottle.
I'm just saying we
the
disagree.
Other one just trumps it.
Okay. So I haven't had that one, but I'm saying I really like this one, and I like this one more than I like the 11-year,
which is interesting. So like, this is what is fun about bourbon. We just tried the first one we tried was 11-year, and to me it tasted like an 11-year, or at least in that pocket. The oak notes were more prevalent than the sweet notes. The sweet notes were an afterthought to oak. This is what I love talking about. Flavors that are the same or similar in the order in which they come in. This 8-year one is more like maple syrup. It's very fun. It's very lively.
It's syrupy.
It kind of dances on the palate a little bit. When I say dancing on the palate, it's like it's not so much heat. You can tell it's not 5-year. You can tell it's not 6-year. But you can tell it's youthful. It's almost like you have a little bit of pop rocks in the thing. And
totally disagree. Like I disagree on that one. Having tasted at this point a decent amount of really young
it's got a soft
and well-aged whiskey.
It's got soft grain notes. It's got a lot of honey and maple. Those are very nice. I would expect that at 8 years. It reminds me of like a Russell's in that regard.
Yeah, which is 10 years old. So what?
Nope, a lot of Russell's picks right now are 8 and 9 years old, dude.
This Bourbon County 8-year-old wheat whiskey, which again, 8's not young. I was drinking this last night, and man, it's opened up noise.
Which one is that one?
This is one I picked up from the distillery.
Oh,
8-year-old single barrel. Yeah, this is Boone County. Really great stuff. This is very similar to that. It's just a honey barrel. I mean, and it delivers sweetness for days, and I love that. A really, really desserty barrel, and when you can couple that with oak, then I'm in heaven. I'm in literal heaven. We don't have the big oakiness to match it, which I think is where you're like, I want some more oak. That said, really, really desserty, sweet, rich, creamy profile that
and I'm not surprised though, because I would say this is more in the pocket of like Buffalo Trace type flavors,
which I tend to like more than you do.
I could definitely, because I just took a hit back at 11-year, going back to the 11-year from the 8. You notice the sweetness. You just have more oak to it. I still think I like the 11-year more at this present point.
Okay.
And I sent you a picture on Instagram of the glass from the tasting set next to the night. Thank you. I'm going to look at this right now. Also, everyone, if anyone during the stream last week did, or the New Year's stream that I did with Matt, did
which
jump in.
You guys should go watch. I was at the very end of it.
Drew did.
Very end.
So I did just notice like an hour ago, I hit 2,000 subscribers. So
nice.
That's fun for me. It's fun for me.
That's awesome. Good job, man.
Oh, dude, it is a smaller version. It has that tapered mouth and all. Thanks, Porkins. That's really cool.
Oh, they actually have a smaller version of that glass?
Yeah, and that's what he said is in the tasting set. Let me try and do this. You can't see.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta zoom in. Okay. Yeah, I see
the smaller one's on this side.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's small feet. Drew's at like almost 8. So, take it with what you can get. But, my hope is that it's helpful in some capacity to some people at some point in time. So
you gotta hear one of the kids. Dang it. Well, I said I wasn't going to be on very long anyway. Let's move on to the last.
Mhm.
This one is 9 years old from Beverage King. It's 134.4 proof. You mentioned you thought this was the darkest one.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Which would make sense
You
because it's also the highest proof. So, I mean, it is
and
the
it's
less
definitely
diluted.
the highest proof by
well,
a long
I don't want to
shot.
say it may not be the less diluted. That's probably a bad thing to say.
What were you going to say?
I was saying it's the less. It was less diluted. That's inaccurate. The proof just
yeah, that is inaccurate.
It's a stupid thing to say. That's why I reneged. I'm taking it back. But it is the darkest of all of them, sitting at 9 years old.
Yeah, and the nose is most pronounced, but there's a lot of fun things to unpack from the nose as well.
Yeah, it's very thick.
Yes, this is the closest thing to a classic Alleged Craig barrel proof profile. It's got kind of a coupling of sweetness and oak. It's probably not quite as sweet as number 2 was. It's quite good. It's quite good. I need to unpack it a little bit more, but it is delicious. And generally, squad, let me tell you, these whiskeys that I've tasted tonight have me very encouraged about future Elijah Craig barrel proof picks and make me highly envious of folks who've gotten to do one. I want to do one.
Yeah, did we ever figure out how Fred came into like 1 million Elijah Craig barrel proof picks? What a life.
Well, 3, but yeah. It seems like there have been a few out there in the Connecticut region, and it's highly encouraging. Bourbon Kingdom throwing $5 for 2,000.
My guy. What's up, dude? Hey, thanks. I was just sipping on that Disco 6 a little bit ago, and then I don't know if you caught the beginning of this. At the beginning of this, I was putting up the Russell's 13. You'll know this because you've tried the Four Roses 20, I think. To me, I'm just gonna say it. That like kind of slightly edge of sour fruitiness in Remus 5, mixed with literally all the flavors of Russell's 13. Mixed together and amplified, that's the Four Roses 20 year. So, what's that?
I want to taste that. This is good. This is really. I gotta
jam packed.
Sometimes when I taste a whiskey and I'm just like, man, that's good, I forget to like analyze it. Just like, yeah, that was really good. I don't know what it tasted like, but my goodness. Elijah Craig is awesome. Heaven Hill is just the best. Most of the time. Yeah. It's got the buttercream, faux shiz. It's got a little cherry. You know, it's on the cherry side of Elijah Craig. Dried, deep, not bright, not tart. But it's when Elijah Craig moves away from Beam and moves toward Buffalo Trace, which is very rare. But the well-aged Buffalo Trace, the George T. Stagg type stuff, that's more the family of flavors in number 3. It's got the age profile. Granted, it's only a year older than number 2, but it's delivering a lot more age characteristics than number 2 was. And it's got heat too, so if you're a proof junkie, 3 is going to be, you're going to be all about 3. The heat is hard for me to taste around sometimes, and it certainly is a little bit here, but
this gives some nods to the older barrelings that I like. When you run into that like dry heat that kind of like it kind of hits you. It's like humidity. It hits you, and it just kind of slowly, you just feel it. You just feel it start to
soaks in.
Yep, soaking in. This is like it's got that old Elijah Craig barrel proof humidity. I like that. I cannot, to be honest, and maybe it's because it's higher proof. It's harder for me to pull apart the flavors. And even on repeated sips, I can't. I feel like I want to add a drop or something to see if I can pull them apart. So exactly for that reason, I'm like, I kind of wish I could pull apart the flavors more because it's so tight. And I would personally, even though I really like for enjoyment, this is really nice. If I were to be analyzing this, it would probably lose a little bit if I couldn't unpack some of the flavors. Because to me, that that disrupts complexity. It hides complexity. It's saying you can't unlock all the flavors that it has, and that's a problem for me.
It's floofy. It's brownies. I mean, this one's probably the most chocolatey of the ones that we had.
Yeah, especially as it lingers. It lingers forever.
Yeah. And a little water, I think, does help. I just dropped a little bit in here, and that opens up the sweetness a little bit more, just tames that heat a touch.
Fred just brought up a really good point. He said the fact that we can get these for $70, $80 more readily available in Stag Junior. Here's the interesting thing.
It's awesome.
What we're noticing, which is, again, I'll eat my words from our original statement. We're running into flavor profiles that vary. Now, you're not getting, except for that 8-year. The 8 years are a little bit promising. If you could get away from the cinnamon, the slight bit of cinnamon note in favor of more rock candy, those 8 years are going to be banging out close to the similar profile of Stag Junior without some tropical notes. But you have a lot of diversity in these three, which,
it's fun. It's kind of fun.
It takes you outside of what you expect from Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. So you were right, Fred. I wouldn't necessarily be looking for Stag Junior at this point. I would say these are hitters. Going back to, the question that was asked of us before, if I had access to more Elijah Craig Barrel Proof picks, I would stay in this lane and I would just hit as many as I could
ride that wave. Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I'm not going to take it there because I know there's a lot of people who swear off the secondary. When I've seen private barrels go on secondary, they are still very cheap compared to a Stag Junior pick. I saw people that's like, oh, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof pick. I mean, they're what, $70, $80? People are selling them for like $120. I know that's a pretty decent percentage markup, but come on, guys. Stag Junior picks are selling for over $400.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. Per usual, Heaven Hill crushing the value game. No doubt. Quite good.
Did you add a little dap of water?
I did. Yeah, like I said, it helps. That's where I was getting the brownie and the chocolate.
I don't have any water. That's fine. I'll keep sipping on it and get drunk.
Jason's just here to he's here to take over. He's having a good day. I think he's feeling himself a little bit. Like he's pimp stepping, as they say. Somebody said throw cash at the bros. That was Jason. Just kind sentiment. It's very lovely.
I'll lower my shirt if anyone wants to throw cash down here. I mean, I'll gladly. I mean, I don't see it. I mean, Drew sees it, but I'll definitely take a couple of bills down here.
This is getting out of hand.
I need them for my Pappy 15 fund.
Yeah, right. I do feel uncomfortable begging for cash.
I know
it's unnecessary.
Right? Yeah, I'll save that. You guys remember, don't forget to join me at 10:30 on my OnlyFans.
Hey, this is good whiskey.
Whenever I'm live on my local, sometimes I'll go live, just a live video on my local Facebook group. I'll take it, but the camera will be up here facing out this way, and you can see my light that I use for videos here. And I always tell people it's because I forgot to tear down for my OnlyFans, and I always wonder if someone's like, "But really?" So, but they're probably not. They're probably like, "Oh, that fat guy. Why would?" I guess there's a flavor for everything. Anyway, if I'll throw some bills if you don't pull your shit down. Tom, deal, 100% deal. I pull it back.
I mean,
up.
To be fair, Tom's already one of our top supporters in pretty much every way, so I'm just thankful for Tom.
Tunes, do you guys have any Russell's 13, or did you review it?
We both have Russell's 13 videos. We both do.
I started off. I actually, not gonna lie, was the first one to put out, but
you were, and that's your biggest video. You've almost got 5K on that.
Literally the only thing I've ever done in Bourbon Tube, basically, was that Russell's video. Everything else is just fooling around. Yeah, so I started off tasting it versus Russell's. The Remus 5.
Yeah,
beginning of the show.
Yeah, so you can go back rewatch that. And then just Google Drew P. Russells and then abandon Russells. You'll get it. Brian, final rankings. I'm going 3. So the 9 year is number 1. The 8 year is number 2. And the 11 year, I'm adamant, is number 3. To me, it's a distant third based on my preferences.
Yeah, I'm 9 year, 11 year, 8 year.
Okay, cool. Fred said the 9 year was his favorite. Fred, what was number 2 for you? I think he was saying the 8 year was number 2 for him. I did revisit the 11 year that I have, and I think it would be kind of part and parcel with this 8 year. It's mellow. It's really mellow, but it's really delightful too. You'd probably think it was young because it probably is. Given it, I mean, it's 11 years old, but it is lighter, but it's not harsh in any way whatsoever. Granted, it's very low proof.
Huckleberry, no, there's not a new word on when a new batch of Russell's 13 will come out. When I was at the distillery, they don't even know if they're going to do it again. Eddie would like to do it again, but we don't know that Campari will. It's Campari, right? Stoli. Who is it? Campari, right?
It's Campari. Yeah.
They don't know that Campari will want to do it again. And then Bo was saying that even if they do it again, it's not guaranteed it's come from the same warehouse. It's not guaranteed it's going to be 13 years old. They might play with it kind of like they do with Master's Keep. It might be, it's all from Tyrone A. It's 11 years old. It's 9 years old. He said it's up for variation. So I don't think we will see another Russell's 13. And this is no flex because I can't take ownership of any of this stuff because it's not me. But in our small group, in our previous small group, it kind of broke up during COVID. But we were in a small group with a girl who worked at Campari. She works for Wild Turkey and works with Matthew McConaughey for Long Branch. And she, while she was pregnant, created Russell's 13 solely on smelling and not tasting it. And I remember her mentioning, she even has it in her stories right now that like she was even a little disappointed with the barrel selection that she had to pull from this, but put together the product for Russell's 13. And then she was just reflecting because she also had noticed that it just took Fred's top whiskey of the year.
Huh. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a lot of people's top whiskey of the year. It's my favorite new whiskey that I tried this year. It's so good.
What's your favorite whiskey of the year? Are you doing a video about that?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I don't think I have anything to add. Like, I don't have a lot of the super hella limited stuff. I did my favorite craft whiskeys that I tried. I felt like that was the thing that, and nobody cared, but that was the thing that I could contribute. If I'm like top whiskey, it's Russell's 13, like surprise. So I don't feel like I can. I know I can do the video; it would get the views, but I feel like I'm just pandering.
I've got a top 10. It's kind of the same thing. Like I had a guy who messaged on the single barrels, and he was like, "This doesn't add anything to the community," and so I'm like, I go two ways.
Oh, I thought yours did. I loved the single barrels video because no one else does that.
I liked it. So and afterwards, I thought to myself, okay, if I didn't do a top 10 non-store pick top 10, the problem is it's going to be a lot of hitters. But my hope would then be like, let me take the top 5 from that and the top 5 from my single barrels and blind those 10 to see where they mix up. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's the same thing though. It's like if I do a top 10 of that, I see two things, and I'll say this as encouragement to you to maybe do it too. There is one thing of, is this video going to be helpful for people? And the answer to that is either yes or no. But the second thing about it, and some people watch videos this way. It's why I watch videos. I don't necessarily watch videos because I want to know what the results are. I want to know, do I align with the people that I'm watching? It's helpful for me to know throughout the year. If I watch Drew P's videos, what is Drew P like at the end of the year, and does it align with what I would like? And so that's the reason why. That's the reason why I've thought about doing it, is because, one of my buddies told me that. He's like, dude, like if you put it out there, it's mainly so that people can say, do I align with Brian or not? Or what's the lens that Brian sees things that he enjoys? I will need to know that going through the year on what he says he likes and doesn't like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, in that, like, a lot of the whiskeys that I tried weren't the ultra limited stuff, and so my list would probably vary from other people's. But if your palate matched mine, you might find some picks in the top. I'd probably do top 5 that you're like, oh yeah, well, I might actually have that or be able to get that. So I'll take that as encouragement, Brian. I may very well do that.
And the reason I like this particular breakdown too, and I feel like I'd have to do it blind because, and again, I think that it would be cool for you to be able to do this too. You say, oh, I don't have these big hitters. Well, I could try Russell's 13, but then I could go downstairs and try 2 different Nashville Barrel Company picks and like this Elijah Craig barrel proof. And I probably wouldn't think that I'm missing anything that I was getting out of a pour of the Russell's 13. Not to say the Russell's 13 isn't the clear better one. Drinking it, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And I would say that's a strong testament, especially if those bottles are more available than the Russell's 13. And I think it's important to be able to talk through that to the people who watch your show for you.
It's good. It's good. I like that. And that's where we're going to start to wrap things up for the day. Again, big thanks to Fred for sponsoring this stream. I'm sorry. Next week, hopefully we'll all be back.
Cheers,
super
Fred.
Healthy, and we'll go extra time next week. We've got a blind, which looks like bangers because Eric gave us smaller samples on a couple of these, so I'm assuming they're very good. So Eric Sawyer, Swing Nation, Total Boss, brother, and he is a longtime contributor to the channel. We're gonna taste his whiskey next week. And I'm sure we'll come up with some other dang topics to talk about. Secondarily sponsoring the channel, thanks to Jason for the super chat madness that he's been dropping as we've gone. He still wants to jump on. We're going to wrap it up, Jason. We're not going to do it tonight, man. But again, Instagram DMs, we'll figure it out. Because I'm a big fan of that idea of if somebody wants to throw down, like if they really want to challenge, we should just like have either a Patreon tier, like if you're supporting at this tier for so long, maybe that's a thing you can do. Or maybe if you just want to say like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like Jason and give like $40 in one night. Then yeah, sure. Let's do it. We'll figure it out. Anything else? Any questions, parting thoughts, remarks, prayer requests that we should review? The kids are getting better, it seems like. I hope my son has been asleep this whole time because, gosh, he's been the sickest I've ever seen him, and that was not fun. But the girls are getting better, and so hopefully a couple days from now we'll all be like, well, that sucked, but I'm glad it's over. We'll see.
Right.
Okay, y'all, a lot of good questions tonight. The content was sick. It was rich. It was a good stream, and I apologize that we're going to cut it short tonight, but it is what it is.
I will say, too, someone did mention in the chat, they said, when's the inch proof Elijah Craig barrel proof? If you have a group, a store, if you've been given an allocation of Elijah Craig barrel proof, and you're saying, hey, what are a couple of not very cool dudes I can jump on the pick with us to help make a better experience or maybe a worse experience? We would love to ruin it for you. So slide into the DMs and we can make that happen. I've never had a tour or barrel pick experience at Heaven Hill. So just saying, make it my first.
I've had tasting experiences that kind of sucked. They were fine. They didn't suck. They were fine. They were not worse than other places. They just didn't blow me away like a Willett experience or a Bardstown Bourbon Company experience. All right, squad. I mentioned I'm headed down to Kentucky end of this month, so we're going to do some cool stuff, bring back some audio episodes of the Entry Proof podcast, and then maybe see some cool people. TBD. There's a lot up in the air. We'll see. But we got a couple streams coming up before then. Make sure you tune into my channel Monday mornings at 11 for video drops. Tune into Brian's channel Tuesdays for new drops. And then Thursday night live streams whenever we can make it happen. Whenever we're physically able, we'll be here. Y'all have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe. Freaking keep it neat.
Cheers, everybody.